Today we have Mahesh Murty. Welcome, Mahesh.
Hi.
To start with, I want to understand that how do you see the growth of social media in India? Because there are still lots of buzz. People are talking about social media growth, various sort of startups and everything. How do you see that?
So I think social media growth is always going to be a subset of internet growth and internet usage growth. I'm a little concerned actually because at some point we're going to start running out of people who speak and read and write in English, and we simply haven't developed, digital media in languages other than English. There's only about 200 odd million English speakers. Within a year or two, we'll hit the ceiling. So I think we have to break through that, and somebody, maybe Google, Facebook, somebody has to figure out a way using voice, because we don't have Devanagari and Hindi input capability or output capability. So voice is the thing that will break through, and that may take 3-4 years. So I think we grow till 200 million, which is a large number, which is 1/6 of India. But for it to really become 500 million, 700-800 million, I think you have to either be on SMS and you have to be in a language other than English, and you have to do voice.
Correct. So again, when you talk about today, you said internet users. We hardly have 150 million internet users, and out of that, only 7 million are actually making any transaction. So there is a huge gap.
That's not true. There's over 20 million people who buy travel, and there's over 10-12 million who have already bought non-travel. And there's some overlaps. I'd say there's about 25 million. That's at least my number. I could be wrong.
No, that's fine.
But again, you must understand, so even though we may not be necessarily making purchases, all these 150 million are actually, or a large number of them are doing the research online. They may research online, pick up the phone and buy. They may research online, go to the shop and buy. Or they may go to a shop and say, that's a TV, let me go back home, research it and figure out where's the cheapest price and go and buy it. So even though e-commerce may only be happening yet with only 25% or 25 million out of the 150 million, the process of buying, which means researching, comparing, studying, etc., or complaining, getting service, that is followed by a lot many more people.
Correct.
Right? So it's part of the buying process.
Correct.
Not always is the actual does the entire transaction happen online.
But again, India is known as one of the largest internet country, and if you see, 2013 is going to be like 1.2 trillion dollars e-commerce market. But if you see, India is again not standing anywhere in the list.
So you must again understand, right? So I'm not going to sit and say, oh, internet penetration. 150 million people is a good number of people. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, we aren't making it easy to buy. Nowhere else in the world do I have to do, a one-time password to buy something. Only in India, our RBI thinks that only we are the idiots that we have to do one-time password to buy. Okay. Nowhere in the world do I have jumped through so many hoops and do a VBV or whatever else to buy. But here RBI forces me to do that, right? The third thing is that credit card usage is declining. It was 20 million, is down to 18 and 19 and 17 million. And the problem behind that is banks, people are basically kiting the banks, and so the banks are not really liking to issue credit cards. They're only issuing credit cards to people who already have credit cards.
Yes.
So it's easier to get a fourth or a fifth and a sixth credit card than somebody else getting a first credit card. Then there's debit card. So you have to give it time. So I think, and also, why does necessarily the entire transaction have to be online? I mean, we are a country where some kind of hybrid will work. Maybe you order something online, you research something online, you buy it offline, you pay for it offline. So we're going to have, the number will grow, but it's not going to grow in that pure e-commerce term necessarily as fast as you think, as it happened anywhere else. That's not. I think that's not likely to happen.
But and how mobile devices, the penetration of mobile devices which are happening, specifically smartphone in India, how they're going to complement that?
So the issue with mobile is again that the cost of doing a transaction is too high in mobile. In the sense, on the net, if I go and buy something on my desktop, I might pay 2% to MasterCard, Visa. Mobile, I pay 80% to Airtel and Vodafone. Right? So imagine, if 80% of every transaction has to go somewhere, then the only thing you can sell has to be a very low value transaction. So all I can sell is some bits. I can sell some music, a picture, an SMS, and so on and so forth. So essentially, we have to break through the walled garden. So the things that are holding us in terms of growing mobile e-commerce are actually the telcos. The minute we can break past that, we can find some easier and simpler way to transact. I think we will get there, and we will break through. It'll happen. Please again understand, this economy is very, very young in India. Maybe it's 10-15 years old. It's going to take time. It's really now in the boom state. Everything that you talked about as a problem is an opportunity that somebody, for me to fund a company or somebody to fund a company to solve the very problems you talked about. And somewhere in solving those problems is the opportunity as well as the larger net opportunity post that. So I appreciate you call them problems, but I said these are opportunities.
Yeah, these are opportunities. So when you talk about opportunity, because as you are also wearing multiple hats, when you go and reach out to various startups, when you analyze their business model, what is the biggest challenge you see these days in e-commerce startups?
So I think there's too much of still copy paste, control C, control V going on. If there is a Birchbox in the US, last year I saw 10 Birchbox clones in India. I am the Birchbox of South Bombay, I am the Birchbox of North Bombay, I am the Birchbox of Gurgaon, I am the Birchbox of Noida. Right? I think for too long in India have we tried to build companies simply copying the West. I mean, very few have truly built original, innovative companies that actually solve an Indian problem. And that's maybe even part of our education. We've only been told that, boss, it is very safe to copy, it's very risky if you do something original. But in this entire world, we keep telling people it's actually very risky to copy. Correct. It's very safe to do something original.
True.
And in our entire education, from the way time a child is brought up, never do our parents actually tell the child that they should be individual. They say, no, he's got 97 on 100, you must get 98 on 100, right? Be like him. Why can't you be like him? Why can't you be like her? Why can't you be like that guy? Oh, IIT, IIM, Intel, Shintel, nonsense, some useless life. Be like him. We are all taught to copy somebody else. I think that we only now have a generation of parents who say, it's okay, my child is different from the others. Most parents still want the child to be like somebody else. So give this time. So this generation that is now 10, 12, 13, 15, 18, in the next 10 years, they will be the entrepreneurs who will really create the truly original companies from India, right? So you have to bring it back also to our family upbringing. The more we tell our child, go to Kota, study, get into IIT, the more we are destined to have failures.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
The more we want a child to be like somebody else, more the child will be like nobody.
Correct.
Right? Will be a nobody. You want somebody who right from the beginning has been brought up in a way, has a confidence to say, I'm okay to be different, right? I'm okay to be different.
But again, you just said copy C, control C and control V. Here I have got a very interesting comparison, like one of the biggest Indian startup, still they call them startup, even after 7 years, the valuation is close to $1 billion. However, we have lots of case studies where US startups, less than 1.5 year old, is still, they have not made a single dollar as a revenue, and their valuation is equally to 1 billion.
So valuation is, it's a strange thing. Valuation really depends on what people are willing to pay.
Correct.
Right? And valuation, somebody who buys it believes that it's cheap because he can sell it for an even higher price. Right? Valuation in India is determined by, again, what somebody is willing to pay, B, what somebody thinks it's worth finally, so they'll give you a discount on that.
True.
Right? And as far as what we have out here, I've always believed that we've copied too much. I mean, I do believe, somebody started a Guruji and said it'll be the Google of India. Somebody started a Migglebox and said it'll be the Facebook of India.
Correct.
Right? Somebody started a Rediff and said it'll be the Yahoo of India. Somebody started Flipkart and said it'll be the Amazon of India. But I really believe the Google of India is Google. The Facebook of India is Facebook. The Yahoo of India is Yahoo, and the Amazon of India will be Amazon. Yes. Right? You're not going to come here and set and build companies which are copycats of US companies. You're not going to succeed. Where's the Rediff? It went public, 18 consecutive quarters of losses. I mean, why would you want to copy when there's so many more problems to solve out here in this country?
Correct.
Do you not have any imagination to be able to solve the problem originally? You know that copying a company doesn't work, right? So all of these companies which are copycat, the Indian version of X, it's just not going to work.
But again, is this the problem of only copying and being not so innovative? Because what I found out that most of the, if you reach out to Indian startups, and if you go ask, they do not know how big is their own industry down the line of 3 years, 4 years.
So because, they're still... So right now, in some cases, in some ways, the startup business is also going through a romance. Maybe startup.
Yeah.
I am going to be a cool entrepreneur. So what do? You go to TechCrunch and see that kind of company got funded. Arey, main yahan karta hu. Let's do this. Falana Dimkhana of India.
Correct.
Right? There's a company for left-handed midgets. Let's build Indian company for left-handed midgets. Right? So we got to keep. So at some point, it'll take time. These people will have to go up there, be funded, fail. Till even the investors say, no, that's not right. Until it'll take a generation. You can't cram so much learning.
But is it necessary to learn it only in a hard way? Go there, get failed, and then again you try out?
How else do you learn? So everybody has to learn. Investors have to learn. Investors who have backed the Me Too companies have to learn that the Indian version of X does not work.
Correct.
Investors are only now learning.
Yes.
Investors have to learn that टोपी doesn't work. चलो बनाते हैं Amazon खरीद लेगा, चलो बनाते हैं Facebook खरीद लेगा, चलो बनाते हैं Google खरीद लेगा. क्या है? Amazon नहीं, ना Amazon खरीद रहा है, ना Twitter खरीद रहा है, ना Google खरीद, कोई नहीं खरीद रहा है.
That's true.
अब फट गई तुम्हारी. Right? You are sitting here and say क्या करें? इतना बड़ा पैसा दे दिया, कोई खरीद रहा नहीं है. अब तुम कहते हो अरे फिर अब बिजनेस बनाते हैं. Right? So it takes 7 years for you to learn that you may have a valuation, but you still are not a business.
Yes. Correct.
Right? And I think we deserve that lack of valuation. What हमने कौन सी तीर चला दी?
Yeah.
What is the great thing we have done?
Yes.
It is still a loss-making company that makes even greater loss every year, every month. So you turn it into a successful company, you turn it into a profitable company, and you will get a valuation. We've done pretty well on Carvali. We've done pretty well on Redbus. These are two of our own companies,
Yes.
right? Sure, we could get a higher valuation, but everybody felt it was fair. And these are very fair by investors, very fair by everybody concerned. So I'm not sure what the issue is. We will get the valuations. But you have to build a company worthy of the valuation.
But again, when you talk about, let's say, Redbus or Flipkart, whatever, there are very few companies who have got name, right? And again, if you see startups, in Indian startups, they are pretty, not so many Indian startups who have reached out at the global level and they got their funded as well as the name. Why is that? So where is the challenge? Where is the gap?
So first of all, I mean, everybody, we only fund companies for an Indian market. We find it hard to fund companies in India, sitting in India, facing the world. Just like even in the US, the US startups only face the US market, right? The other thing is, for you to be able to strike a price or a valuation, you have to find some buyer.
Correct.
I am the seller, I can put the money in, but finally somebody has to buy it from me, right? So we have a lot of risk takers. Now we have lots of angel investors. 5 years ago there was none.
Yeah.
We have maybe half a dozen angel funds. We have 2 or 3 seed stage funds. There's seed fund and a few others. We have lots of growth funds. The thing is, growth funds are the ones who have been very badly hit. Growth funds and PE funds have been very, very badly hit in the last couple of years, especially PE funds, because they went and all took dollar at 48 and now dollar is at 60. So unki 30% loss वहीं होगी, right? Thanks to Chidambaram or a lack of action by Chidambaram, the PE business is in the shits right now, right? So already they're looking at minus 30%. अब आपके बोलो buy this Indian company, सबकी फटती है, अरे नहीं यार अब मैं एक listed company खरीदूंगा. So all the PE funds and the large hedge funds are buying public listed companies. So even us, what do we need? We need somebody to buy a company from us. We are a small fund here.
That is exactly the business.
Right? So the entire ecosystem is, and that guy who buys it from us, that growth fund, needs somebody to buy it from him. He needs the PE fund. The PE fund needs the public market or the hedge fund. So it kind of all keeps going up. So right now, हेज फंड से पी फंड से ग्रोथ फंड तक सबको जुकाम हो गया. सब बुखार लेके पैरासिटामोल लेके घर पे बैठे हुए हैं. हम यहाँ तो महाराज हम ठहरे हैं, ठीक है भैया कोई ले लो यार हमारी कंपनी. और हमसे जो और डाउनलाइन है, जैसे मतलब एंजल फंड, इंक्यूबेटर वगैरह, उनकी तो बहुत ही हालत खराब है. सो लॉट ऑफ कंपनीज आर बॉस वी आर इंक्यूबेटेड बाय समबडी, मतलब किसी को 5 लाख दे दिया, 3 महीने बाद दे आर आउट ऑफ द इंक्यूबेटर, दे स्टिल बैक ऑन द स्ट्रीट, दे हैव नथिंग, राइट? बट the whole system has to work. Now कभी वो पूरे चेन में किसी न किसी को जुकाम बुखार सब होते रहता है.
That's true, always.
But sir, वो है यार, वो होता है, कभी सही होगा कहीं, but we have to do the best with what we have.
True. So since you have been addressing lots of startups over the time, what is that one thing you would like to convey to all those Indian startups who are just trying to beat that market? So I would say there's no one thing. I would just say run a business, be different, and take a dominant part of whatever business that you're doing. Go be dominant. Itna hi karo. Be the biggest. You have the chance to take 80% market share. Go take it. Be different. Be dominant. You don't need necessarily lots of money to do that. Your best source of money is revenue from customer. True.
Take it, right? Second best source is people like us.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
So best source is yourself. So it's nothing. It just takes a lot of saying it, because suddenly 10 years ago nobody was starting business. Today everybody is starting business but says तुम मुझे पैसे दो. And हमसे भी से क्यों? जैसे आपको देना ही चाहिए, ऐसे क्यों? मतलब क्या है, कोई ग्रांट है क्या? मतलब आप आगे कॉलेज में पैसे दे तो ऐसे थोड़ी होता है कि I am entitled to money, give me money. Nobody is entitled to stuff. So when we explain how we fund, we say if it doesn't suit you, get it from somebody else or do it yourself. For what are you doing this company for? Please also understand, when you work with us, you have to take the company IPO or to sell it.
True.
And if you don't want to take a company IPO and don't want to sell it, then don't take any money. Just do it yourself.
Okay.
98% of all companies are private for that reason. No?
True.
They just say, I am very happy. It supports my lifestyle. दाल रोटी मिल जाती है, मैं छुट्टी ले लेता हूँ, पैसा मिल जाता है. That's perfectly fine. That's good, yeah. I mean, see the big change that has happened in I've been back in India now 14 years, right? Is is that compared to 20 years ago and now, 20 years ago and the only people who were starting businesses came from business sects and business families. You would see that they were all Guptas. And they were all Banyas, or they were all Sindhi.
Well, that has got in their blood.
It's in today I'm a Murty. Right? My partner is a Jacob. So today suddenly there's a lot more bunch of people who are out there, right? So there's a Fani Sama, there's a Mohit Dubey. So suddenly these old caste-based systems are breaking down. So nobody really talks about that. But actually the one change we are somewhat responsible for is suddenly to make entrepreneurship within reach of every community in India. I come from a Orthodox Tamilian Iyer Brahmin family. Nobody in my family in memory, my dad's memory for maybe 100 years and my granddad's memory when he was there for 100 years before that, ever has been a businessman. It's not been there. Right? In our generation, my generation, the change has happened when it's now okay for people to do their own business. Right? To me, nobody talks about that, but I think that is really the deepest change that has happened. That's a good thing.
Correct.
It'll take a little longer, but this change has happened.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
So when you talk again about what I said, the startups, they are just scaling up these days in India, and obviously the change need to be done if they really want to grow. So the biggest problem, what you foresee in next 4 years or 5 years for those startups?
So I think I don't know if it's a problem. I think
because problem is again as an opportunity. Problem.
Yeah, I think more and more people will the biggest problems will still be at the families. Essentially, I think the problem that we have out here is that our education is meaningless. There's no value in what you learn at IIT. There's no value in what you learn at IIM. When लोग computer science पढ़ के उसके बाद IIM में marketing पढ़ के जाके बैंक join करते हैं, मतलब ही क्या हुआ?
I hope after seeing this interview, people will not
right.
drop out of
It's
college.
like saying मैंने 4 साल running की, उसके बाद 2 साल swimming की और अब मैं pilot बन गया. तो मतलब ही नहीं है. So, but we've said IIT IIM मतलब God, IIT IIM is dog. What the hell? It's somebody without a brain, without a backbone who goes and does it, right?
Correct.
Because you've been told that is the programming. So I think more and more people and youngsters are going to realize this. I think they're going to fight with their parents. Parents are going to say, beta, degree to kar lo, MBA to kar lo. Then parents say, beta, MBA to kar lo. Then you know what, you've wasted 6 years of your life. Correct. I think in some ways I was looking back, I'm 47. And maybe the reason that I've been able to grow a little faster is I started at 17. I didn't do any. I did 1 year of college and said, forget it, doesn't work, and I was on my own. And it happened accidentally. I got kicked out of the house and so on and so forth. I think, if starting at 23 is a little too late. You might, we have to figure out more and more that just because you do a degree in MBA, it's actually a waste of time. So a big challenge is going to be people fighting their parents. To say, nikalne do, and parents say, nahi, beta MBA kar lo. MBA is in you 10th class pass. No, ek zamane mein, arey, बेटी 10th class pass है. Now it's a बेटी MBA. It's a new 10th class pass. Then तो शादी नहीं होगी.
Again, when you talk about that
MBA नहीं तो शादी नहीं होगी.
MBA नहीं तो शादी नहीं होगी. But again, when there are a few bunch of people who are really want to take risk. Otherwise, if they say, okay, if I'm not done MBA, then I may not get a job because they are not.
Even if you do an MBA, what job do you get? यार आप IIPM के MBA हो, अब क्या करते हो? आप कॉल सेंटर में काम करते हो ना? हाँ.
True.
तो वो तो आप 12th class के बाद भी कर सकते थे.
True.
कौन सी बड़ी बात है? Right. So, I mean, essentially, like MBA is a new 10th class pass. With my grandfather, it was 5वीं pass. Now it's 10. Then it was 10वीं pass. Now it's MBA. Essentially, you're just wasting your life. What is the point after doing all of this nonsense education, which has done nothing? Start early. I think the big fight 3-4 years from now will be a lot more students are saying, forget it. I don't want to be part of this. Why should I get into this education thing at all? Okay. I think there will be a lot more parents-children fight. I mean, finally, to me, it comes down to how we bring our kids up and how open we are to kids not doing things. I mean, I still meet very intelligent parents saying, Mahesh, उसको बता दो at least degree करने के लिए. I said, do you know, I am not a degree. Oh my God. फिर तुम बात मत करो मेरे बच्चे से.
True.
Right?
I agree.
So, and I say, well, they're smart enough. Let them go start working. What's the big deal? क्या करेगा bachelor's करके? क्या करेगा master's करके? क्या करेगा MBA करके? करना क्या है? तो I mean, नौकरी करना तुम करो वो सब. Entrepreneurship करना, you don't have to do any of that nonsense. We keep telling people I'm a class 12 and I will happily hire IIT IIMs all the time.
Correct.
Right? Because by the time you're too late and you've become so insecure and you're so used to following the crowd that you don't have any entrepreneurial spirit, then you become a good employee. Those are factories for producing employees. We don't have factories for producing employers. And to me, that's a challenge.
Yes.
But that's okay. All we have to do is avoid the factory and you can become an employer.
So there was lots of takeaways from Mahesh. And one great thing what we have learned, probably start early and look for to become an entrepreneur rather than get it employed at some other company, right?
I hope so, man.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Mahesh. Thanks for your time.